Hey guys, Kate Kozikowski here. I am here with Jeff Mudrick from BRX Mortgages, and we're gonna talk about mortgages, pre-approvals, and what's going on in the market today. Hi Jeff, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So the most common question I get is mortgage pre-approval. Can you kind of guide us through what's going on and what you need, what papers, why is it so important for clients?
Yeah, sure. So mortgage pre-approval, in my opinion, is the most important thing that a client can get done. It probably takes the most amount of time and has the biggest rewards as well. So there's three kinds of pre-approvals. The first is you log in online, you go to TD or Scotia or whoever it is, and you get what's called the pre-qualification. You put in your income, no documents are reviewed, no credit reviewed, and it just gives you a very ballpark figure of what you can afford. Mm-hmm. The second type of pre-approval is when a client walks into a branch. They may look at documents, they may not, they may just take your word for how much you make, and then we'll again give you a pre-approval based off of that information.
And then the hard one.
And the hard one coming up is working with the right mortgage broker. What they'll do is hopefully ask you to do all the hard work up front to get every piece of document in line. So when you're ready to pull the trigger on a property, you know down to the penny what you can afford. So it usually takes about maybe half an hour of work on the client's end. But the best part about it is they will know what they can afford, no questions asked, and they will have all the documents prepared. When they do find a property that they love, they can act on it and move really quickly.
Another question I get all the time, why should they choose mortgage broker versus bank?
Yeah, so hopefully that my other answer kind of addressed that somewhat. So first part about using a mortgage broker is not everyone's created equally. Just like, as I'm sure you're aware, there are some amazing realtors out there and some, not so amazing realtors. Same on the mortgage side. So if you're working with the right mortgage broker, not only are they getting you the best interest rate, which of course is important, but they're also placing you with the right product. And the best part about that is you actually have the person, the expert, that's going to be with you for the term of your mortgage and really the life of your mortgage and beyond.
And after and for renewals and
exactly. So as much as the rate's important, which it of course is, it's the
especially
now, it's the expertise of finding the right mortgage professional, that expert in the industry that will help guide you throughout, the rest of your time that you need to borrow money for.
Mm-hmm. What documents usually you need for the hard pre-approval, like when you want to exactly know how much you can afford?
Yeah, great question. So I like to call my pre-approvals like a funding promise. And essentially what that means is, hey, client, if we do some homework and you get me, a letter of employment, a pay stub, maybe your 2 years tax history, depending on the type of employment, your T1s, your NOAs, let me talk to your accountant. I'll get that information for you. But once we do that, we can, these budget spreadsheets that I love.
Yes, I love them too.
Yeah. So it's essentially a way to break down what clients can afford down to the penny. So by having all these documents up front, by creating a good rapport with the client, with the realtor, with the accountant, with the lawyer, it really allows us to be confident that when a client finds a property that fits into the price range that we know they can afford, the funding is promised, and we can say that with confidence.
And I have to say, I work with Jeff on many mortgages with my clients, and he's right usually to the dot, to like pennies if it comes to calculation. So highly recommended.
That is the goal for sure. Honestly, the reason why I started with these spreadsheets is because clients would come to me from other people to say, hey, Jeff, another person I was working with said I can afford somewhere in the range of $750 to $850. I'm like, okay, but
that's a big range.
But what's the number, right? Like, do you want to look at properties at $850? Do you want to go a bit less? What's happening? So really showing clients not only what they can afford, but why that's their affordability, and really educating the client on that. That's what has been the most important, most impactful part of my business.
And beside the mortgage, what other costs, like land transfer tax, right? The lawyer's fees, everything that's, included. And Jeff put that all in a spreadsheet and present it to clients. And it's a live spreadsheet, so it changes with a particular property, and exactly he can add exactly numbers, and the numbers will
I am a numbers nerd and a big spreadsheet nerd, and that's my favorite part of the business. Hopefully it doesn't make me sound too numbersy, but that's me.
How does the interest rate impacted, clients which already have variable mortgages, and how that's gonna impact future buyers?
Yeah, great question. So two things. There's two types of variable rate mortgages. One is a standard, a true variable rate, which means that as the rate fluctuates, your payments actually stay the same, which is a nice product to have. The only thing that changes is that percent allocated towards interest and the percent towards principal. However, with clients with an adjustable rate mortgage, their payments are going to likely continue to increase for the next little while. So to give some very, very quick, broad numbers, if the rate increases by 0.5%, for every $100,000 that clients borrow, it's going to increase their monthly mortgage payment by around $25 to $30 a month. So if you have a $500,000 mortgage, let's go conservative and say it's going to increase by $30 a month. That's an extra $150 a month increase.
Yes,
so that's been hurting. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's on top of the already probably $800 or $900 that's already been increased this year.
So we have different type mortgages. So variable and fixed rates. Can you explain that? What's the difference between fixed and variable? And also, I know with fixed rate, if you wanna, there are penalties, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes big penalties.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend to your clients, even with the increasing of the interest rate? Like, I always recommend variable because it's safer in the long run, but in today's market, is it the safe?
This is why you and I work well together, because I'm a huge variable rate proponent. Not only because of the rate itself, because you're right, over the past 30 years, if you were to take a variable rate every year, you would win in the long term. This is one of those years, though, that if you took a variable rate in January, February, or March, as opposed to a fixed, that might come back to bite you a little bit.
Yes.
But the big benefits of the fixed versus of the variable versus fixed is the fact that with a variable rate, it offers you so much flexibility.
And you can save a lot of money.
You can save a ton of money. So I always ask clients three things. One, what is your goal with this mortgage? Is it to have the lowest interest rate? Is it to pay the least amount of interest? Or is it to pay off your property as quickly as possible?
As possible, yes.
If a client answers 1, 2, or 3, that's going to affect the way that I advise the client on whether to choose a 5-year variable versus right now it's more of like a shorter term 2 or 3 year fixed rate. Fixed rates haven't been this high since 2008. So to lock in a 5-year fix today, it's probably not the wisest move, because as you said, the penalties associated with breaking that mortgage are about 3 or 4 times as bigger than if you were to break a variable.
Yes. But you can have a fixed mortgage for a year or 2 versus 5 years, right?
Yeah, so, not many people are aware of that. But in the past 4 months or so, the majority of the clients that I work with have either taken that variable rate or a very short fixed term. And the reason for that is, people don't want that fluctuation in their payments necessarily with the variable rate. So to lock in, say, hey, let's do a 2-year fixed at whatever percent, and then we're kind of pushing the rate conversation down the line. So we'll reevaluate in a year or 2 and see where the market's at then.
So after 2 years, they can go back to variable, or they can continue with the fixed, right?
Exactly. They are a complete free agent. So they can stay with the same lender, go to a brand new lender, go to a variable, a fixed, change up the term lengths. They can do whatever they want at that time without having to pay a penalty.
You as a mortgage broker, so let's say when the mortgage is up for renewal, do you recommend to stay with the same mortgage brokerage, change the mortgage, evaluate the situation? What would you recommend to your clients?
Yeah, so it really is client dependent. What we do on our end is do a semi-annual mortgage/life review. So we talk about, hey, what major changes have happened in your life over the past 6 months? How are you for cash flow? Do we need more cash? Do we need to, what do we need to do? Do we need to play with the mortgage? having a mortgage is a great opportunity because you have really good debt, like very low interest debt, even though interest rate is higher today.
You can add your debt to the mortgage
Exactly.
at the renewal time, right?
Yeah, do we need to consolidate all of our debt into the mortgage? Instead of paying 20% on credit cards, we can pay 4 or 5% in a mortgage and amortize it over a longer period of time. I won't bore everyone with the details on that, but there are tons of benefits to doing that. So really, these semi-annual mortgage reviews will determine what is best for the client at time of renewal.
Okay, and do you recommend it to keep it the same brokerage, or again, you evaluate?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes it makes sense. So I'll give you a quick example. Over the last few months, as interest rates have increased, to qualify for a mortgage now is a lot more challenging. So for clients who kind of bought at the top end of their budget a few years ago, they're kind of forced to stay with the same lender who will offer them an automatic renewal as opposed to trying to pop over to a different lender and requalify. So right now for certain clients, yeah, it might make sense to kind of bite the bullet on interest rate, and doesn't really, this is why it doesn't really matter what interest rate is, because if you qualify there, you don't qualify somewhere else, hey, listen, we're stuck with that interest rate.